I'm going to go through a little bit of information with you guys first. I find that if you ever go make a big purchase, it's as nice as it is, if you know more about it, it's even better. So if you go get a computer and all you use it for is email, you miss out on a whole lot of functionality. And that's the same thing with what we're doing in here. So I want you guys to have a good grasp of what this is and what you can do at home to help. That way you get the best results, okay? All right, let's start here. Hey Sharon, could you do me a favor? Could you turn the lights off?
Oh, sure.
Let's start here. When you look at this woman here, how old do you think she is? This is a real person, by the way, not a...
She's in her 90s.
101.
101, 90s? Okay, good guess. You guys are kind of in the middle. She's 93. Interesting thing is she's doing that, and I don't know any of my friends that can pull that off. And I have this up here because when we think about death or getting older, we usually think of like the 80s and the 90s being kind of the tail end of things. And the human genome is good for about 120 years. So we should be living that long. We're just not doing a very good job. Do you guys know what the average male lives to be? 84 is a good guess. 78. 78. How about female? 83. You're getting close. Stay around a little longer, we'll get it. Okay, so yeah, 83. 83 is women. So women are doing a little bit better than men. But ultimately, we're still not getting anywhere near that 120 mark. So what gives? What is the problem there? We're missing something. Now this is a graph, and I don't need you guys to look too deeply into it, but what this shows is all the healthcare systems in the world, in each country. Who does it better? Who does it the worst? The best healthcare system in the world right now is Denmark. Denmark does it the best. The United States, where do you think we fall?
Pretty low.
We are pretty low. In terms of industrialized countries, we're at the bottom. We're the 39th best healthcare system in the world. 39. Cuba is 38. So they're doing it better than we are. Now, the problem with that is the United States as a whole spends double on our healthcare, double compared to the average country everywhere else, which is scary to think about. And Denmark in general spends about a third of what we do. So we're screwing up somewhere. And here's what we're screwing up on, I believe. What we have today is not a healthcare system. What we have is a sick care system. You think about it. When do you go to your doctor? When you feel good or when you feel sick? Exactly. The problem with that thinking, as I'm going to show you here in a minute, is by the time you're sick or not feeling good, that problem's already been there for a long time. We should be going to the doctor a lot earlier than that as a preventative measure. Healthcare is about health and promoting that, not about sick and just trying to help sick people feel a little bit better, which is unfortunately where we're at. Okay, so let's talk about health. What would you guys say is health? What is that? What is the definition of health? I got some smart people in here tonight, so I'm expecting some brilliant answers.
To be productive, creative, joyful.
I like that answer.
interactive.
I like that answer. I would not have expected anything less from you. All right, I'm expecting big things from you too. What do you got? What's a good definition from health? What do you guys think? Think about yourselves. What would make you feel? What would make you think I'm healthy? How would you rate that?
No physical ailment.
No physical ailment, so you feel good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Cord.
I'm with him on that.
Okay. And I think most guys are going to fall in that category. I hear that a lot, and women too. I hear that a lot. Here's what really is health. Health equals 100% function. What that means is you may feel good. People feel fine all the time. They go to the medical doctor and they get diagnosed with cancer or heart disease. Does that mean they were healthy? No, right? You were unhealthy because you had all this disease growing inside you. So it's not about how you feel. It's also not about how you look, because you can look great and be diagnosed with heart disease or cancer. That's not necessarily a prerequisite for health either. It's how your body functions on the inside. That's what matters. So the reason we do all that testing back there, we're measuring your function. 20% of how you feel, or 20% of your body is how you feel. So sensory nerves, what you can feel, it's only 20%. 80% of your body doesn't feel anything. It's just function. So like your stomach secreting acid, you don't feel that stuff. It's happening, you're just not aware of it. It's because there's no sensory innervations down there. Does that make sense? And the only way to know what's going on is to test. That's why we do all that testing in here. All right, so, and I get that. Listen, most people come in here for pain. I get that. They come in here for discomfort. But I hope at the end of this, you understand what is really going on here is that pain is a sign or symptom of other things. And if we don't address those other things, we're never gonna get out of pain and we're never gonna get our body to the function that it should be at. Okay, so one thing I wanna talk about, function is health, okay? How do we lose it? When are we sick? The first thing is malfunction. You don't feel malfunction. The only way to know you're malfunctioning is through tests. You go to the doctor, they don't even put a name on it yet. They don't have a disease label for you. They just know the tests aren't quite where they should be. You're a little bit high here, you're a little bit low there. They're not sure what it is. They just know you're malfunctioning. Now, have that stick around long enough, then we start to get into a pattern. And that pattern is what we call a disease. That's when the doctor can look at you and say, okay, you have this. Okay, you have that. That's a disease. Let that stick around long enough, then we get to the symptoms. Because people have diseases all the time. Again, they don't even know it. They just go to the doctor and then they get told, hey, you got this. Only later on do they start to feel the symptoms. And you can see how far away the symptoms are from health. It takes a long time to get down here. So whether it's pain and discomfort, digestive issues, bad sleep, whatever that disease or symptoms are that you're experiencing, just understand that's been there a long time. It's always the last thing to show up, typically one of the first things to go away, which is important. So you're gonna feel better earlier. That doesn't mean we're out of this problem yet. We still got a lot of room to go before we get back to function. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. Here's an important thing. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen our logo, but our logo is a tree, and I have a tree for a reason. And I think it's important, so I'm going to explain it. When you look at these trees, there's a big difference here. The biggest difference is one of these trees is missing water. All right? And I use this example because a tree is very similar to the human body. A tree has requirements. It needs to get every single day to be healthy. So it has to get sunlight, it has to get soil, good soil, room to grow, in other words, no rocks on top of it, nothing like that, and then it needs to have water. If it gets those four, typically, it's pretty healthy. Tree, flower, plant, whatever, all right? Now, our bodies are the exact same way. We need good food, good movement, exercise, sleep. It's the only time your heart and your brain slow down, you need sleep. Mindset, you need a healthy, positive mindset. Doesn't mean you don't ever experience negative emotions, right? You can have negative emotions, but we don't want to live there. Because the more you live, the more hormones get secreted that are not so good for you. And those hormones lead to disease. So we want to be positive as much as possible. And then the last element is the one that no one knows about, and that's the nervous system. That's where I come in, that's what I work with. But keep in mind, nutrition, movement, sleep, if you're missing any of those, you could do all the other ones. If you're missing one of those, you're going to have problems. Think about it. If you eat terrible for a while, you're going to have problems, no matter what else you're doing in your life. If you don't sleep, but you're eating good, you're still going to have problems. And the same thing with your nervous system. I can count many, many people who have come in here who say they eat well, they move well, they think well, they sleep well, and they still have all kinds of problems. It's because their nervous system isn't being checked and taken care of. So you got to understand that. Now, here's the problem with this. This is what the typical healthcare system in America does with this. They look at this tree and they say, okay, that tree's losing its leaves, or that tree's got brown leaves. We got to stop that from happening because that doesn't look right. So let's take some green paint and paint over those brown leaves. That'll fix it. So it does, temporarily, right? Covers up the symptoms, but ultimately that tree's still rotting from the inside. It's not getting enough water or something else is going on. We would never look at a tree like that. It sounds silly to talk about it like that, but ultimately that's how we address our body. Anytime you have a headache, what do you reach for? Advil, aspirin, Tylenol. It's the exact same thing as taking paint, painting over a tree leaf. Doesn't mean you don't reach for it. Don't get me wrong. We're all human here. I get it. You want to get out of pain, but understand you're not fixing anything. That problem's still there. Whatever's causing that headache's just a symptom. It's a symptom of something deeper inside. And we've got to get to that root cause if we ever want to be healthy. If you let that thing sit around, just keep piling Advil on top, not only do you have the side effects of the Advil, but you also have whatever that root cause is still growing in there. And that can lead to a lot worse things than just a headache. Does that make sense? Okay. So when we talk about healing, healing happens only one way. It doesn't happen from me, it doesn't happen from any other doctor, it doesn't happen from medication. It happens from the inside and then it moves out. So it starts inside your body and moves out. And it happens through the nervous system. As long as that nervous system is communicating, we can have healing. When it stops communicating, we can't. I just read a really amazing research article. I talk about the nervous system all day, every day, because I've been studying it for 6-7 years now. Most people don't know about this stuff. They just did a study on cancer. You guys know how cancer works? You got stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Stage 1 is where the cancer is really local. Like it hasn't spread anywhere. Stage 2, 3, stage 4 is the worst. Stage 4 is everywhere in the body. Really nowhere there isn't cancer found. And at that point, you're given a death sentence. It's like, you got 3 weeks to live, get your stuff in order. That's stage 4 cancer. And there really is no answer for it. But they started doing some research. And what they found is the vagus nerve, which is a specific part of your nervous system. If your vagus nerve is working well, it doesn't matter what stage of cancer you're in, the body can heal, which is pretty cool. We hear about these spontaneous healings that these people have. They're given a death sentence and then all of a sudden their body came back. We didn't know why. Well, ultimately it's because of your nervous system. And it's the only way your body heals. So understand that. Pain, discomfort, those are important, but bigger picture is, how strong is your body? How able is it to heal from all these other problems that we're not even thinking about right now because we're young or we're not in a condition of that sort. Okay, so that's healing. Now, the other thing about healing, it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a couple weeks. It takes time, typically anywhere from 10 to 18 months is how long the body heals. That's how long every single cell in your body takes to replenish itself. So a new cell replacing an old cell. If you're getting all those requirements every single day, those new cells are going to be healthier. If you're not getting those requirements, those new cells are going to be as bad as the other ones. And we're still going to have those same problems over and over and over again. But there's literally nothing that you can't heal from if you're giving yourself the requirements every day. Every day. And that's my philosophy. That's how I live, and I will never tell you anything other than that. So if you walk in here and you're expecting me to give you a quick fix or something like that, I'm probably not the guy for that, because I don't agree with that idea. I think we need to fix the problems, and the only way to do that is get back to the basics. Okay? All right, let's talk about this briefly. I work with every single one of you guys in this room with the top of your neck. The reason I work with the top of the neck, whether it's back pain, neck pain, headaches, digestive issues, sleeping problems, the reason I work there is that's where the biggest concentration of your nervous system is. It sits right there, your brain and your brainstem. And if you've got any shifting there, you're going to have trouble with the nervous system here, but also all the way down the body. I worked with Mike today. We made a correction at the very top bone in his neck, which is the atlas bone. That's this guy right here. His back was bothering him a little, his leg wasn't lifting very high. After we made that correction, the top of your neck, what happened to the leg? Much better, right? And that's the connection. So there's pressure up here, you're guaranteed pressure down there, which is when people come in with back pain, a lot of times the back pain is not the problem. It's elsewhere in the spine. And until we fix that, you're always going to have the problems in the back. So how do we get the shifts in the spine? This is important for you guys to know, because when you go home, if you keep coming back to my office with subluxations and problems in your spine, I'm going to have to fix them. Okay, so if we can avoid that, that's much better for you guys. 3 ways that we cause what we call subluxation. Subluxation, just so you know, that's a scientific term for shifts in your spine. Physical stress is the first one. Sitting in a car, sitting at a desk, sitting anywhere, that's a physical stress. Bad posture, hunched over, that's a physical stress. Car accident, physical stress. Exercising improperly, physical stress. Okay, that's a way you can cause shifting in your spine. Second one, chemical stress. This is stuff that people don't necessarily attribute to shifting in the spine. Food, processed food, sugar. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we get to our prime nutrition workshop. Alcohol, soda, drugs, all that. That's chemical stress. Chemical stress causes physical shifting in your spine because it causes hormones to be released. They cause your muscles to tighten down, and the muscles pull the spine. So we want to avoid chemical stress. And then the last one is emotional stress, which Ruth, you know all about this. Ruth deals a lot with the emotional stresses, but understand that negative thinking, anxiety, worry, fear, anger, frustration, all those, same hormones that get released when you eat junk food, they get released when you're stressed, and the same thing, causes muscles to pull the bones out of place. And I would venture to guess that this is probably 90, even 95% of the practice comes in here with emotional stress, causing the root problems, okay? Whether they're aware of it or not. All right, last thing I want to touch on. This is what we want to see with people. We've touched on this, I think, with everybody in here. This is the first thing I see, the head moving forward. That's the problem that I see above anything else. That's typically what the first shift is. And if we don't fix it, it gets to this point. That doesn't mean people have pain. Understand that. That doesn't mean it causes pain. It actually does cause a decrease in life expectancy. And this is from Harvard research. They've done a study on mortality. If you've got any anterior head carriage where your head shifts in front of your shoulders, you're at an increased risk of death. Why would that happen? One, it's cutting off nerve supply. But two, it also makes you imbalanced. When you're out like this, you're much more inclined to fall over. And as you get older, when you fall over, you're much more likely to break something. When you break something, you go to the hospital, you're in the hospital for a couple weeks. If they gotta repair something, at that age, if you're 80, 90 years old, you're much less likely to be able to recover because you're weaker. And when you're weak, so is your immune system. You fall vulnerable to infection. And that's honestly, that's what a majority of the Americans are dying from these days. Slips and falls. We can prevent all that by just getting that head back upright. Not to mention all the other benefits you get from it. Improved sleep, improved digestion, improved breathing, pain levels go down, all that. Okay, so to sum this up, I've got a couple workshops that I encourage all you guys to come for. I'm not gonna force you to come. I try to force you to this one because I know it's important, but I won't force you to the other ones. I just strongly encourage you, and I'll stay on you until you come. Prime nutrition, prime mindset, prime movement, prime sleep. All the other requirements that you don't talk about with me on a daily basis. I think it's crucial for you guys to understand the strategies behind this stuff. Nutrition, everybody knows nutrition. You guys have probably all heard it, but I don't know if you've understood it from how it fits into the bigger puzzle. Because I think you just get bits and pieces. Bits and pieces here and there. You read an article, you read this, and a lot of it's contradicting. That's not what this is gonna be. This is gonna give you effective strategies to tie it all together. Prime mindset, I'm not a psychologist, don't plan to be, but I do understand the importance of a good mindset, but I also understand mindset in terms of implementing all these other strategies. Because I'm gonna give you strategies to eat well. If your self-esteem is terrible, you're not gonna be able to implement these strategies. So prime mindset is really dialing it into what's driving you, what's important to you first off, but second off, how strong is your self-esteem? Most people's self-esteem has taken a hit, whether it was from a young age or as we got older, and whether you're aware of it or not, buying fancy things, losing weight, getting a job promotion, that doesn't build self-esteem. The decisions you make every single day and how congruent they are with who you think you are and who you think you should be, that's what builds self-esteem. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that. But if your self-esteem is bad, forget trying to change anything else about your life. It's gonna be very difficult. Prime movement, exercises, but I'm not taking you through the gauntlet. Okay, we're not doing the CrossFit workout, we're not doing anything like that. I'm giving you exercises similar to tonight, but more advanced. I'm gonna give you level 1 tonight. We'll get into level 2, 3 at Prime Movement. We do that in a gym. I don't have space for everybody in this. We just did it a couple weeks ago. We had about 20 people. I can't fit that many people in here. Okay, so I need a bigger place for that. And then the last one's sleep. Don't need to touch on that too much other than average American today getting 5.5 hours. We should be getting 7 to 9, minimum 7. So I talk about some stuff that we can do, setting up your room and how you approach your evening before you go to sleep. Give you some strategies on how you can make that better. Some suffer with it, some do not. The people that do definitely need to be at that workshop. Okay? Any questions on any of that? All right, good.